The hosts and guests on Everything's Messy podcast are not licensed healthcare professionals. The discussions in our episodes are not personalized medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider for medical guidance. Never delay seeking professional medical advice or emergency assistance because of our podcast. We encourage consulting with a healthcare professional before making any significant health changes. By listening to our podcast, you agree to the disclaimer. Thank you for listening to Everything's Messy podcast. Hey, welcome to Everything's Messy podcast, where we celebrate the beautiful but messy life experiences that most, if not all, people go through. Get ready to embark on an exciting journey through the raw and unfiltered stories of everyday people. Here, we dive into messy realities of life, from making messy mistakes to triumphs and everything in between. Are you sensing a theme? That's right, it's messy. But this just isn't about the mess. It's about finding strength and resilience in the midst of it all. We'll explore how health, fitness, and wellness play a crucial role in navigating life's twists and very messy turns. And we'll challenge conventional systems, because sometimes the most unconventional paths lead to the greatest discoveries. Join us as we embrace the messy, beautiful, and endlessly fascinating stories. Each episode is a testament to the power of our messy journeys and the beauty that emerges from the mess. So grab your favorite beverage, coffee, sparkling water, whatever it may be, and prepare to be inspired. Are you ready? Let's get messy. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Everything's Messy podcast. I am your messy host, Sarah. Today I have with me Guastella. He is a certified nutrition coach and certified health coach, and he has got some messiness to share with us. And as always on this program, we love the messy. So Anthony, welcome. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you for having me, Sarah.
So walk us down your messy path.
Absolutely. So I had a Lyme disease diagnosis that lasted for 6 years. And as you can imagine, I experienced every symptom that you can imagine through joint pain, thyroid issues. I can go on with fibromyalgia. But the point is, I was in an immense state of suffering, right? And I was 16 years old when I got diagnosed. So I was just a kid. And essentially, I had two choices. I can either be a victim or a victor, right? Because my future did not look bright at all. So essentially, I can listen to the outside voices that were telling me I can't get well. And, this is going to be a thing that you have to live for the rest of your life. Or I can listen to my heart, which is what I did. And I can heal. I can get to the other side of this. And not only am I going to get to the other side of this, I'm going to help as many people as I possibly can when I do. So I just let that be my driving force. And I kind of embraced it in a sense because, when you're in that, it was a struggle point. Like I said, it took me 6 long years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Now. Yeah, it would take me 6 months knowing what I know at this moment. But I'm glad that I didn't know, because it forged my character to be able to live the life that I was meant to lead. Because these challenges that we go through, they're all meant to help us become the person that we're meant to be. That's what I find.
Yes. I find you don't have a messy story until you have to get through to find the grit, right? You got to find that grit.
Absolutely.
For those who don't know, just really quick, give us a rundown. I'm sure everybody does know, but Lyme disease comes from?
So it is generally a tick-borne illness,
but
there are other ways that it could be done as well.
Okay. But always through something foreign entering the body?
Yeah, it's usually how it is. And it's my understanding, just because you get bit by a tick doesn't mean that you're going to come down with the disease. It's really a rundown of the immune system. Like this chronic immune system deficiency is what actually leads to it.
And so is that of the thinking then that you maybe have these predisposed things before you're bitten by the tick, and then whatever poison the tick may have in it sort of catapults that into, maybe it was dormant and now it's alive?
So essentially, with my story, I remember getting bit in the ear when I was 8 years old, and it didn't really come to fruition until I was 16. And what I can link that to is immense amount of stress, immune system dysregulation at the time. Because people get bit all the time, in the forest, but essentially, being in the society with the nutrient deficiencies and all these health issues, that's when it really takes place for people.
Yeah, that's so interesting that it was dormant for so long and that you could remember back exactly when that happened. to be able to bring that. So from 8 to 16, I'm thinking there was some trauma or something, some sort of canon life events that you may have gone through that then made it come alive, or maybe just the act of puberty, our body's changing, things are going on, and then voila, here you have now this autoimmune. And what's the, so it's six, you said it took from 16 to when?
16 to, I would say 22 was when I probably say I was healed, which was about 5 years ago at this moment. So
So that's at a young age. So how, so in that mindset, was it right after diagnosis at 16 where you're like, F this, I am taking charge, I am figuring out what I'm doing? Or did it take you a little bit to sort of sit in those feelings and be like, okay, I accept it? Or was it always just, this is bullshit?
that's a great question because I've always had that purpose oriented drive in my life. Like I always, always had that strong will. So it was very quickly that, no, as a matter of fact, I probably never accepted that I couldn't get well. I was just told that from the outside. I'm like, I just know I always had this North Star. Like I know there's like so much possibility in our lives and we're meant for greatness.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
said, these obstacles are just opportunities to become the person we're meant to be. And unfortunately, a lot of us, we get this huge wake up call, but I don't think it has to be like that, even though it's kind of how it seems to be.
For most of it is,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So you decided at 16, challenge accepted. This is so what's your first step? I mean, obviously you're still, going through all the feels of being a 16-year-old, you're in high school, all that wonderful time in our lives. Just kidding. So what's the first step?
Yeah. The first step for me was my mind. I had to take control of my mind. Because, of course, like, there's gonna be some fear present within that, even though like I knew that I was going to get well, there's still like you have to go through that, right? So taking control of my mind through our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotions, and it's a process every single day. Like, because like I didn't have the tools like I do now, like all the fancy biohacks and all that. But knowing that I just have to make progress every single day, you have to accept where you are and always strive for more. That's kind of the paradox of success in a sense, like accepting where you are, but knowing that the very nature of life is growth. So, working in my mind, that was the very first step, I have to say.
I love that. And so was it a mantra? Did you do daily affirmations? Like what did you seize in your mind to say, was it like a process? I'm going to try, just for instance, I'm going to drink more water or whatever. What was that first step where you're like, okay, this, from now on at this point, this is what I'm doing?
Yeah. So after took control of my mind, I realized I had to actually learn about wellness. Like I was interested, I was pretty committed before, but like looking back, I didn't really know what I was doing.
Sure.
So I turned to podcasts, I turned to books, and I just became relentless in the pursuit of knowledge. And I really came to the conclusion that it comes down to the fundamentals, just like it does with anything else. You have to master the fundamental things. And like I said, I didn't have any of the fancy biohacks. So I just had to take control of what I could control, which was what I can eat, how I
Hmm.
can move, as much as I can, reduce stress, be in nature, like all the simple things that that our genes expect of us in order to get well. And that's
Sure.
made progress every single day. As you know, it's always a journey, right? Like even now, there's
Yes.
always progress to be made. That's the key.
Yes. 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 And some days we're better at it than others. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So from what I understand, because I did a little bit of reading before you came on, some people experience like extreme fatigue. So I'm thinking about, there was a lot of extreme fatigue associated with Hashimoto's and hypothyroid. And I remember those days going back before I was able to get to the place I am now, where you could have put anything in front of me and it didn't matter. I was so incredibly tired of just being in, living in that. How did you come out of that to do the work? Did you experience the fatigue?
You know, it's made me think of something because I was like, I was relatively stable energy up until about 6 o'clock. And that I remember I was literally walking around like a zombie. I couldn't hold myself upright. My head was literally wobbling around.
Gosh, yeah.
I couldn't
Yeah.
hold myself up.
Yeah.
I always remember like I was like 19 years old taking naps. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but like if you have to
Sure.
do,
Sure.
if you have to do that, it's like I don't know. essentially just remember like going through that and finding the things that actually bolstered my energy over time. I'm like, wow, this is what it feels like to actually be healthy. Cause
Yeah.
I was like that before, but I forgot, I
Yeah.
forget after being sick for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. And that's gotta be hard, especially I mean, I don't know if you were an athlete or anything, but I know most of us at 19, we thought we could go endless days without having to sleep. So I
Yes,
can't imagine thinking here you feel just like it stops you in your tracks. And it's like, what do I do with this now? How do I combat that?
exactly. I mean, before I was actually training for the NFL. Like that was actually my thing. So then I got hit the Lyme disease. Like, no, this is what we're doing in our life. Like life kind of changed up the plans, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now.
Yeah, yeah. So having familiarity with athlete training and things like that, that's a different kind of tired than your whole body just fighting against you. That's just a whole different kind of tired.
Exactly. I would say like because with training, of course, like going to be doing more training as an athlete than an average individual to stay healthy,
Sure.
but it's like a totally different feeling. Like you just don't feel well along with it.
Yeah, yeah. Did you have, I mean, because you were on the younger side and are able to identify these things, did you have help? Did you have a mom and dad to kind of say, let's try this? Or was this just a solo mission and you were just gonna throw the spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks?
Yeah, it was both in a sense. Like, of course, like the people around me really care and they want to see me well, but they absolutely knew nothing about wellness. So
Right,
that part I had to
right.
figure out on my own.
Yeah,
And that was a difficult thing because, like, they just wanted to do the conventional thing, which I sort of did for a time. But with chronic Lyme, it simply does not work. If you catch it within the first 2 weeks, that may work. But the reality is most people have it this long term thing, and that's where you really have to go the natural route. I mean, that's what I definitely would recommend.
yeah, yeah. And so is it, um as this bite festers, as the poison gets in you, is it attacking, like, is it neurological? Is it bacterial? Is it just attacking anything and everything that gets in the way? So let's say if you have, like, SIBO or leaky gut, you're just fighting like a losing battle. You're just not gonna get any steps ahead.
Yeah, so it does express differently for everyone, obviously, but the nervous system is a big piece. Like with Lyme disease, it's a stealth infection, so it's kind of like very difficult to get rid of. It's in the crevices, like it's very it's kind of everywhere in a sense, like where the blood flow doesn't get. So there's so many different ways to do it. I mean, thinking about it now, like HBOT or hyperbaric oxygen, that was really useful for me. Even though, funny enough, I kind of didn't do it until after I considered myself well. But I just,
That's okay, you reverse engineered the problem. That's okay. That's alright. You work
yeah,
backwards.
but I would say that was one of the best things I did for my health. So I definitely recommend that. And just sticking to the plan every single day, that was a key. Like, because with chronic disease or success, like a lot of it is trial and error in a sense. And of course, you want to learn from other people's experience, but if you just stick to the plan every single day and stay focused on the mission, that's what it's all about. Like keep that North Star and the people that you're doing this for in mind. And, nothing's going to stop you if you
Sure.
made up your mind.
Sure, sure. And so you talk about the hyperbaric chamber. Was that something you had read? How did you even think to, oh, I should probably go do
Yeah.
this? Was it
So,
prescribed by the doctor? How do you even find something like that?
yeah, I actually didn't know anything about it, but my mom actually did. So she
Yay,
kind of heard
mom.
from it from a friend. And I'm like, there's so much research behind it. I mean, it's kind of insane. So it's actually been around for like 500 years in some variations. So there's a long history with that. And I just wanted to give it a shot, like, cause I was already a health coach, a biohacker. So I just kind of did it to bolster my wellness when I
Sure.
did it. And yeah, it works for sure.
And you went, whoa. So what is it? It's like compression. It's ultra condensed oxygen, but also compression. Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, so it's like pressurized oxygen. There's two different chambers. You have the hard shell and the soft shell. The hard shell is really what you want for like if you're going for some type of serious condition. And it's kind of like being 30 to 60 feet below sea level in terms of pressure. And it's about 100% oxygen as opposed to what we breathe out here, which honestly don't remember the numbers, but it's definitely not 100%.
It's not 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's pressurized. So with the Lyme disease, because like I said, it's very difficult to get into those spots, but those oxygens, um, it drives it deep into the cells, so it's pressurized. And I believe they're anaerobic, so they don't like that oxygen. So that's what kind of kills them off in a sense.
And so when you say kills it off, are we talking it's like a parasite or a bacteria, a germ? What are we talking?
So there's so many different things. Like there's co-infections. There's main thing, which is what they call Borrelia in a sense. But most people who have it, they usually have some type of co-infection. So it's multiple things at once, which is really kind of the detrimental thing, which is why
Yeah.
people get like
You
so
don't know. Yeah.
exactly like there's so many facets to it in a sense.
Yeah. Well, and even just to overall general wellness, everybody's different. What works for one doesn't work for the other. So obviously that would be the same with treating any type of autoimmune or chronic condition. So you did the hyperbaric, and then talk a little bit about like the food and what you were
Yeah.
fueling or not fueling.
So this was kind of an evolution for me. Like I said, I was always interested in wellness, but I wasn't really knowing what I was doing. Like I was eating like 10 health food bars a day. And I'm like, it's organic, right?
No
But
seed ales, wink, wink.
yeah, what I've come to the conclusion now, and what I did, like when I really got well, is comes down to the foundational principles of wellness. In terms of nutrition, that would be number one, eat real food. Number two, eat organic. Number three, eat local. And the last two aren't as important as like the first, but it's really eating according to your genetics and your ancestry. Those can play a role as well. And like when it comes to nutrition, you have to personalize it to yourself. But those foundational things like that I mentioned, those do apply to everyone. But then the type of food that you eat, depending on your state of health, whether you have certain sensitivities or maybe you're high fat, low, whatever it is, it's like there's no one size fits all diet is the point.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I know when I had the pleasure of being on your podcast, we got into a little bit about, vegan versus carnivore and the myths and the truths of that, and, just really honing in on what you said, which is raw, real food, which is,
That's right.
kind of takes out the vegan part. But and not to say that I've spoken to many, many vegans who just swear by what they're doing, and that's great. Like you said, everybody's different and without what works for them. But when you realize, like in my case, it didn't work, and I feel betrayed and lied to about the things that I was given, and then find something else, and you're like, wow, like you had said, this is what it feels like to be well, and I was able to do this with food.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, right?
Yeah. I mean, nutrition is such a powerful factor. And of course, there's more to health. But if you dial in that nutrition, like you're just so resilient to things. I think so many times when I come up against like challenges in business or whatnot, I'm like, man, I'm really glad I have the nutrition dialed in because I just feel like I wouldn't be able to like handle this as much or as well. Like it's
Yeah.
very powerful once you have that in. So
Yeah, yeah. So, when you talk about your foundational principles, which is amazing. I love that you gave that rundown. But you talked about genetics and how that plays a role into it. So, did you do any sort of genetic testing or allergy scratch tests or anything like that to sort of give you a path, or was it more like elimination diet? Hey, eggs are working for me, but you know, potatoes aren't, or something like
yeah.
that.
So I honestly didn't do that till farther down the line. I did end up doing it was it was some form of genetic testing. I think it was from the DNA company. They're really good. And honestly, I didn't really change a whole lot because I was kind of dialed in a sense. It was really more for information and purposes.
Got it.
But where I see like if people have a predisposition to a disease, say diabetes or something like that, then they can kind of adjust according to that, right? And of course, like just because you have a predisposition doesn't mean that you get it because epigenetics is really where it's at in terms of like lifestyle factors, but that can help you
Right.
have clarity on what you need to change in a sense.
Right, right. And I love all of the research. Of course, it's new to me, but not new that's out there. But how we used to think that, you know, everything was concrete. The way you were made was the way that you were made. And now we can sort of play with this epigenetics and turn on and off the cells by what we're putting in our body, by what we're doing, by our, our routines and things like that. We can sort of try to tap into these cells that may have been turned off and turn them on. And that's really impressive to get into that little convoluted sometimes. You really want to have to read those books, but I can see the magic in it.
Yeah, I mean, I believe Dr. Bruce Lipton, he kind of
Yeah.
pushed that in the culture with epigenetics and all that. And it's such a powerful thing because a lot of us, at least prior days, we kind of outsourced our health in a sense, and we had this victim mindset of, oh, it's in my genes. There's nothing
Sure.
I can do.
Sure.
Now, once you know what's in your power, then you actually have that belief and you take action every single day. And that's what actually leads to real wellness at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I mean, it's not to say that, um, it's still a long way off, but I feel like just knowing, like you said, the simple changes of nutrition, of, sunlight, how it processes the vitamin D in our body, just things like that that can get us ever closer to, a wellness state is it's great. But I think about, is this more prevalent because of the standard American diet and the people, things that we're eating? Because if we look back into, not that long ago, but 100 years or so, you know, people pretty much ate from the land. It was, organic. It was something they grew on the farm and things like that. And so then we had all of this industrialization come in and we had all of this processed food and convenience. Is that what we're sort of dealing with as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Were you referring to Lyme disease in terms of like why it's more prevalent?
Kind of, but just, dealing with epigenetics now and why we even have to go down that road versus 100 years ago. No, maybe we didn't quite know what that was, but maybe we didn't need to, right? We were eating more wholesome food. We were eating the food off the farm and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, our ancestors knew absolutely nothing about epigenetics, right? They just
Right.
kind of lived according to nature. And it just turns out we're designed to be healthy. We're not designed to be sick. Over 60% of Americans have at least one chronic disease.
Yeah.
Over 40% of those have two or more. That is
Yeah.
absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Does not have to be like that.
Yeah.
And it's not just adults now, it's kids. Like 40% of kids have chronic disease. Looking at
Which
those
is
numbers,
so
that's
sad.
it is very sad. And as you mentioned, like I do believe things are getting better due to like shows like this. Like people are getting educated in a sense. And
Well, we're left with no choice, right? In your case and in my case, we're sort of, pushed into the direction that maybe we never thought our lives would be going. But now it's like, you know, do or die kind of thing.
yeah, I mean, it definitely felt like that for me. It was definitely an uphill battle because, when the deck is stacked against you in a sense, in terms of health, like when they're processed food markers pushing a product everywhere you go, the you know, chemicals everywhere in the air, the food, the water, it is very difficult. Like you have to actually carve your own path in a sense,
Yes. Yes.
especially when you don't have examples around you. Like, of course, because people are just doing their thing. They're living their life. This is what they've always done. But then when you're, especially what makes it harder is when you're in that low vibrational state of disease, and then no one else. It's like, man, that's what forged my character for real. Like you have to, like, man, you have to go through it in a sense,
Yeah.
and you have to trust the process. Don't rush the process.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Yeah. No, essentially, and that's the message here. You kind of have to sit in your mess to kind of get to the next step, because if you don't process what's happening, if you don't sit in that mess, you may not be able to see the next step clearly or be able to clearly define it. And I think that part a lot of people want to pass over. Just give me the pill for an ill, just tell me what I'm supposed to do. They don't want to have any personal advocacy or accountability of what their part might be in it. And that, I don't wanna say that's the lazy way out, but you have to go deeper, especially if you are plagued or a family member's plagued with something that you've never heard of or something that you don't know anything about. There's got to be some personal responsibility taken to be like you said, "No, I'm not accepting this."
yeah, and it's important to distinguish between something being your fault and being responsible for something
Right.
because
Right.
like chronic disease, like most people, we don't know how to be healthy. And like I said, we kind of live in a world at the moment where things are kind of designed for you to be sick. But ultimately, it is our responsibility. And that can be hard sometimes because we're just in it. But at the end of that pain is success.
Yeah.
Like once you take 100% responsibility for the situation, that means we can actually decide what happens next in a sense.
Yeah.
Because like I said before, you can be a victim or a victor. And it's not your fault necessarily, but you have to keep in mind that it's not just about you. Because once you get well, you can be the model and the light
Sure.
for others
Sure.
around you.
Sure. That and it may not be your fault, but what are you gonna do now? What now?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I ask a lot of my health coaches this because I think it's sort of their foundational piece. So, somebody comes to you, they're at their wits' end. They think they've tried everything. They don't know where to start, what to do. What's the first thing you tell them?
First thing is awareness. Like, what are we actually dealing with here? And that goes with mind, body, and spirit. Okay, you have this chronic disease, but what are you dealing with internally, right? Do you even believe that there's a possibility you can get well? Because it's not that the solution is not available, it's that we're not receptive to the solution. Like, there's so many people with chronic disease, like I mentioned, but we have this disempowering paradigm in a sense, and we're asking the wrong questions. If we start to shift that question to, why me? Or is this, is this the rest of my life? Things like that. Or what can I do right now in order to get well? Like,
Yeah.
how can I take back my power? And
Yeah.
just keep moving forward every single day. And as you get better and make progress, it's like it kind of becomes a virtuous circle instead of this downward spiral. And it is
Yeah.
a choice at the end of the day.
Yeah. You're forcing those telomeres to grow longer and to change and to give us a chance.
That's
We're
right.
not gonna take it,
That's right.
right? So, tell me a little bit, hormetic stressors. What can you give us an example and what does that mean?
Yeah. So, a hormetic stressor is essentially a type of stress that when you engage in it in a short term, like exercise, for example, you recover in the long term. And there's five of them when it comes to physical wellness, and that's exercise, sunlight, fasting. Then you have, in terms of the exercise, it's important to understand that doing it in a short term is going to lead to more resilience in the long term because a lot of us will overdo things. Like we hear things are good, but if we keep on doing
More
it,
is better.
right, that's what I see a lot. And essentially, you want to do what you can in order to get stronger because with stress, we have two buckets. We have the hormetic stressors, and then we have things that help reduce stress. But if you help strengthen that nervous system, help strengthen your body, and that's what deals with like the vagus nerve and all that. So when you're working out, you're also strengthening the nervous system in a sense. So being able to handle more stress. So if you want to live a life that you desire, it really comes down to, you know, being able to hold that capacity in a sense, because success is something you attract by the person that you become. And you have to be able to hold that wattage in a sense.
Mhm.
And I find like those things are, really powerful.
Yeah, yeah. So you'd mentioned, exercise, sunlight, and then fasting. So give us your rundown on why in fasting is important and, you know, people doing it correctly. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, fasting is very important for many things. Of course, autophagy is probably the most important one, where it's just basically cellular cleanup. Like your body's going to clean up these cellular debris in a sense that we build throughout the day, throughout our lifetime. And there's different types. The most accessible to people is going to be intermittent fasting. Now, this is quite popular these days in the health space. So it's basically 12 to 16 hours, depending on you. And so this can look like maybe you're done eating at 8 p.m., then you don't eat again until 8. And that can have many of the same benefits that you get from a 24-hour fast. And what I do personally is I do a 15, 16 hours intermittent fast every single day. I do a 24-hour fast once a month. I do a
Oh,
5-day twice a year. Now,
wow.
I kind of did that like as a challenge, like, because like a lot of these things, they strengthen your character as well. And I realized like, hey, if I want to live a life I want to live, like I actually need to do something like really hard sometimes. Like that was just me. And so I kind of did the 5-day thing. And that's my approach to fasting. And there's so many benefits. Yeah.
I love that. And yeah, we talk about often on this program. A lot of people, they, we've kind of come accustomed to the comforts of life and things like that. But then they talk about, they start to feel numb or they didn't feel it. And I think I've had a lot of guests on the show who talk about we have to do something hard in order to enjoy the easy, the good, or the comfort, right? Because if we're just standing at a, flat level and never moving that needle, our body gets used to it, and so we can't enjoy the highs, nor do we know how to get out of the lows. So putting something hard in front of us, doing something hard every day, showing up when it's hard, showing up and doing those things, that actually increases our ability to enjoy a good thing, and then we're more even keel than if we're just flatlining the whole time because you taught your body there's nothing good, there's nothing bad.
That's right. I mean, if we do the easy things, life will be hard.
Yeah.
If we do hard things up front, life will be easy in a sense because
Yeah.
I much rather have the pain of discipline than the pain of regret.
Yeah,
Like, I'd much
absolutely.
rather have the results that I want in my life and kind of like have this immediate gratification and then just kind of be average in a sense.
Yep.
Because you're,
Yep.
like I said, you're designed for greatness.
Yeah.
And we kind of like play safe so many times. Like,
We
to be
have to
honest,
push
like
ourselves.
sometimes I think to myself, like, man, I see why people don't do this. Like, I see why people,
Of course. Of course. Yeah.
but I don't get it because I know the alternative, right?
Right.
Like I honor the craft in a sense
Sure.
and devotion to excellence, right?
Sure.
Because understand that my decisions don't just affect me; they affect everyone around me
Yeah.
and people who are looking towards me, in a sense.
Right.
So just keeping that north star, understanding that the people who kind of look to you, in a sense, you owe them because people helped you get to where you are,
Sure.
right? So
Absolutely.
now you can be that for other people.
Absolutely. Yeah, I always tell the one of the many lessons, but one of the lessons I really try to instill in my children is choose your hard. Is it hard right now to go clean your bedroom? Probably. But will it be harder in a week because you put it off and you didn't do it? Absolutely. So choose your hard because either way, life's going to be hard. So figure out which one you want to do and just get after it. Just do it.
That's right. Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better.
Right, exactly, exactly, start where you're at. So we've talked a lot about mindset and, you were talking about the stressors. Give us a rundown on why, if someone is plagued with an autoimmune or a chronic, you know, what's the top 3 things? We talked about nutrition. What are the other 2 things that they should be focused on? Is it prioritizing sleep? Is it getting sunlight? What is it?
Yeah. So, like I said, when it comes to health, I find most people just think of nutrition and exercise, which of course, obviously, very important. But
Absolutely.
there's so many other things. Since you mentioned two more, I would say definitely sleep. You gotta get that in order. And there's so many different strategies for sleep. Like when it comes to anything, like any pillar of health, there are certain strategies that make it work. Just like nutrition, like there's foundational principles make you eat well. Same thing with sleep. Of course, you can sleep in a blacked out room, like which is basically supporting your melatonin production and your sleep cycles. Like you don't want to see your hand in front of your face. That's how dark you want it. Of course, like the
Wow.
moonlight and the stars, that's all
That's
good. But
neutral. Right.
that's right. We have street lights coming in our room. We don't think much of it. That was probably the number one thing I did for my sleep and restoration is actually using blackout curtains.
Mm.
Of course, you can sleep in a cold room as well. Honestly, just don't sleep hot. Like there's kind of ridiculous numbers like 62 degrees, but it kind of,
I love it.
just don't sleep hot,
It
essentially.
has to be ice cold. Well, and I think even for me, I had to learn setting boundaries and prioritizing my sleep. I get poked fun of a lot because I'm very protective over my sleep routine. And I started about an hour before I even go to bed, but I have to make sure that these are the things that I do to even get in that mindset. So by the time I am ready to crawl into bed and I've taken my magnesium or whatever it is, my body is set because it recognizes the unwind routine, it recognizes what I'm doing, but I do get made fun of for protecting my sleep as much as I do.
It's important. Like you have to protect it in a sense because there's like this saying out there, like I'll sleep when I'm dead, but the reality is you'll just be dead. Like those are two different things. And you have to understand
You should
that,
put that on a shirt.
right? And because if you don't, like, there's so many different things, like whether it's television, people are gonna ask you to go out to things. I mean, of course, like you can go out sometimes, but just make
Sure,
it the
of
exception,
course.
not the
Of
rule.
course.
And if you
Exactly.
get that consistent sleep, you're a different person at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I really try to live by the 80/20. If you're doing the correct things 80% of the time, eating right, exercising, sleeping, doing those things 20% of the time, you're going to, live life. You're going to enjoy the party. You're going to enjoy the late night out or whatever it is. And that's the balance, or at least that's what I have found. If you can strive for that, if you can do it right 80% of the time, you're on the right path.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different variations of that, but if you can just find something that works for you, not worry about being perfect, but make progress every single day. That's where it's at. It's
Yeah.
always a journey. That's what we have to understand. Like there's always right now. And even if you have that chronic disease, you're going to think like, once I get there, things are just going to be like excellent all the time. And for the most of the time, they will be. But even when you get there, there's always another level. So that's
Yeah.
why, even though it may be hard, you have to own this moment in a
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. So, circling back around, how long did you say it's been since you've been well with Lyme disease?
About 5 years.
5 years. And in those 5 years, you've just increasingly become stronger, more knowledge oriented. And so, are you primarily helping those that have been diagnosed with Lyme, or is it kind of, an overall chronic or autoimmune?
Yeah, so I obviously have the capabilities of helping people with Lyme because I've been through it, right? But honestly, I don't focus on one thing. Even though I get it, it's a niche and all that, but I just can't do it. It's not, it doesn't fit well with my spirit in a sense. Like I just know that the foundation for me is becoming the greatest version of myself. So that includes health, wealth, relationships, because everything is interconnected in a sense, right? You
Right.
can't like neglect any area of your life. And when it comes to wellness, I just focus on, what works in a sense. Like there's no particular thing I'm focused on, even though I get the argument in a sense, but I just really strive to focus on like elemental health as well, like getting everything in order to make us healthy and then
Sure.
personalizing it to chronic disease, autoimmune disease and all that. And just being educated as much as you can. Like if you're a coach, you have to live this. Being a lifelong learner is key.
Yes.
And you don't have to be perfectly well to help people either. You're like, that's the thing. Like as long as you're in process and you're in motion, that's what it's all about. Like having that spirit of service every single day, waking up and getting after. Like for me, you mentioned like what am I doing now? Essentially, like I am getting stronger all the time. Like I do feel 100% well. But there are certain times it's like, of course, like life happens. And I just want to get better as myself, as a leader, as
Sure.
someone like as an entrepreneur. I just want to get better every single day and, fulfill my purpose.
Sure. Well, and what I've noticed too as part of that journey is honing in or becoming better at the coping mechanisms, at the different strategies that it's sort of an ebb and flow.
Yeah,
There's never going to be a finished product of, ta-da,
that's
it's
right.
whatever. It's going to continuously change. And, I like to say shivot, which is pivot and shift. And, we're always going to be a work in progress, right?
I can't tell you like how much I don't care about my problems after spending 30 minutes in the sun. Like I find like if we have these health routines throughout the day, like if we're journaling, if we're meditating, if we're working out, like we have these things throughout the day, I just find it very difficult to stay down. Like
Absolutely.
things are
Yeah.
gonna happen, but if you have these energy bolsters throughout the day, like something's gonna pick you up at some point.
Right. Right.
That's what I find.
Definitely. Yeah. And then so as we round it out, freedom. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so many different aspects of freedom, but to me, it's really the foundation of everything in terms of health, wealth, relationships, mindset, like spiritually, all these things. What is freedom? It's really kind of stripping everything away that is not of excellence in a sense. Because you are greatness at your core. And we're taught these negative things in our life, like whether we've been through some trauma, a lot of us who carry around this thing that we're not enough. Right.
Mm. Mhm.
And it's just kind of a sad thing is we are beyond enough. Like we are valuable as we are. Of course, like the very nature of life is growth and service, but ultimately, in terms of health, like being able to learn these tools in a sense, being able to adapt with them because as you said, like these are skills, like all these things, like even getting the sun can be a skill in a sense, like
Sure.
learning to listen to your body
Sure. Yeah.
and just making progress every single day on that. But having emotional freedom, right? Being able to not carry around this hurt anymore and actually want to see people win, like having this altruistic mindset of, hey, like there's as you share your success, it actually expands.
Yeah.
Like as you help people, like that mission expands. It doesn't contract. So even if people have like way more success than you, celebrate it because you
Absolutely.
cannot get to a place of success from a place of jealousy. It doesn't work like that. You have
It
to
doesn't
work on
work.
your energy as you are at this moment.
Yeah.
And freedom is really about standing for the truth at the end of the day because that's part of health as well. What is real? What isn't? Like you have to be mindful of what you're watching, what you're listening to, what you're taking in, because your inputs are going to create your outputs.
Hmm.
So just being in touch with what is real, getting touch with nature, having these healthy, nourishing relationships, like living your best life. That's what it's all about. Like, do not focus on one thing. Do not isolate health, like, and focus, and that's it. Because the
Oh, it's
relationships,
all intertwined.
yeah,
Yeah, for
that's right.
sure.
That's right. And like holistic success in a sense, like health, wealth, relationships, everything that matters.
Yeah,
And understand that it's a both and world. It's not either or. So
right.
you can have it all. And it's up to us, and it's always a journey. And you may as well have fun in the process, because that's what makes it like fulfilling in the end.
Sure. Yeah. And sometimes we are more focused on one of those attributes than we are over the other, but they are all connected.
Yeah.
Your spirit, your mind, all of it has to be connected for it to work optimally, I think. And if you have to focus on one, but don't forget about the others, because again, you have to move them along, the journey all together. They all have to go together. So yeah.
I like how you mentioned that, because there are certain times like you may need to focus on more things than one. Like I'm most knowledgeable in wellness because that's my profession in a sense, but you have to kind of shiv it in a sense
I love
to
it.
kind of different different
That's going to
areas,
catch on, I'm telling you.
and it's all, like you said, it's all intertwined, and that's what it's all about. Like there's gonna be ups and downs, but get in the game and just get better. Like don't sit in the sidelines in your own life.
Show up. That's all
That's
you
right.
gotta do is show up for yourself, and even if you are, the person that comes to you for the first time, or if somebody out there is listening to this for the first time and you're hearing these things, you do not have to wait for perfection or something else to happen. You just show up every day for yourself with that first step, whatever that looks like for you, and you will move to the next one eventually. You just gotta keep showing up.
Yeah, I think it's important to be a humble student of life. Like even where I am now, like I feel like I'm in a great place, but a life kind of tests you in so many different various ways.
Gosh, ain't that
Like,
the truth?
do you really want this life? Or like, because you're going to be thrown these challenges in a sense. And I just got to be humbled every day. Like, yeah, you're doing all these great things, but essentially you're going to get hit with this problem from this angle. Are you going to still be in the game? Like, are you just going to give up in a sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so many times it's like, man, like, I just remember like God being like, "Do you want to be great, son? I thought you want to be great."
Yeah.
And I could have gave up so many times along that path, but I never did. I never switched up, because I know that it's not about me. It's about my purpose at the end of the day. I know
Yeah.
that I'm here to leave a legacy for generations to come.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not going to be given any short-term gratification, because I know that at the end of the day, people are going to be inspired to live their best life, and understand that all comes from within us. We have to live a life that we're meant to, because we're not meant for average. At the end of the day, discipline equals freedom, and becoming the best version of ourselves, and striving for the standard of excellence. So it's what's all about for me.
And 100%. And I love all of that, what you said. And I think sometimes, and I think I've been there too, people either don't know their purpose or they have forgotten their purpose. And so if you have to, make a vision board, write it down, whatever you need to do to remember you do have a purpose here, whatever that may be. And we have to get I don't wanna we have to get in it. We have to get into the purpose so we can keep moving forward, so we can accomplish it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things to purpose. I mean, I can talk about that, but it's up to you.
Well, it's if you'd like to speak on it, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Like, purpose is definitely, I would say, the foundation is growth and service, right? That's what it is to everyone. But now
Yeah,
everyone expresses the purpose is going
sure,
to be different. For
sure.
me, I help people take control of their health. But
Yes.
purpose, like, it's not solely tied to career. It does
Absolutely.
it does entail it though. Like you can't like just be in a job that you absolutely hate and say that you're living on your purpose. I mean, you may be in some sense, like you may be in other areas, but your life is your purpose. Like being designed for greatness in a sense. And if people don't know the purpose and they're just struggling, stop looking and just live your life. What I
Mm,
mean by that is you're already on purpose. You just have to kind of get rid of the things that are in your way,
the
and
distractions.
just get better at your life in a sense. Like
Yeah.
get healthier, get wealthier, like whatever it is. Because
Sure.
as you move forward, you're going to gain clarity. And that clarity is going to help you make decisions in your life. And that's where it is. Like, because
Yeah, the clarity will also bring the freedom.
100%. I mean, clarity is such a key aspect, and just moving forward every single day. But yeah, you definitely want to live a life of fulfillment, because at the end, you don't want to have that regret of like, hey, I could have lived my dream, but I didn't. Like, no, all you have is right now, no matter where you are. All you have is this moment, and just make progress every single day on that. And there's always another level, but you have to enjoy the process.
Yeah. No, I love that. Well, and a lot of times, being a lot older than you, a lot of times I hear people say, "Well, I'm so much older now. What am I, why even bother?" And it's like, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when you think of it or it pops into your head or the light bulb comes on. It doesn't matter. Just go do it.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate to find it young. Like as challenging as that situation was, like, I'm grateful for it, because, like I'm on fire every single day to help as many people as I possibly can.
Yeah, I
But
can
like
tell.
you said, like there's so many people, like there's elders out there, they're doing their work, getting after it. And they're
Yep.
very inspiring. They're super wise.
Yeah.
They know what it takes because they've been through a lot,
Yes.
and they inspire me as well. So
Yeah, yeah. My dad comes to mind in that. He's out there every day working out, showing that you don't have to slow down even though you become a certain age. And I think that's really that message of you don't need to slow down. You don't have to slow down. I think is really key because I mean, can you take it easy? Maybe time to time, sure. But once you let what he likes to call, once you let the old man in, and he's going to come in and you just have to do what you can to combat that, right? And that doesn't matter what age you're at. Young people today, there's a lot of seems like resistance to and I think the pendulum is swinging, but there seems to be a lot of resistance to do difficult things, to do hard
yeah,
things, to work out, to do those kinds of things. And you have to do them. You have to do them so you can have that sense of I accomplished that.
that's right. I mean, like you mentioned, there's kind of this programming in society, like we just have to slow down. Like we have to do these things. But the reality is, it's the same thing. If you're living like in this moment, you own this moment. It's like you have to have personal agency, know what
Mhm.
you want, know your standards, know your
Mhm.
values, cultivate value from within, so you can actually spread it to the world, and just be the light, essentially.
Yeah. Well, and I'd like to clarify too. Slowing down, yes, like you mentioned, sometimes we need to, but I almost want to replace slowing down with replace it with the word focus because you need to make sure your slowing down has purpose and what you're focused on. And so if that's getting well, if that's looking at something different, it's to me should be dubbed more focus driven than slowing down.
That's well said, because you can like major and minor things, essentially, which is most people do. But once you actually filter your decisions through your values, you know what to say yes to, you know what to say no to, and know you're you kind of use this energy allocation in a sense. Because like, being a writer, a speaker, podcaster myself, and those are just career wise. Like I have to like be skilled at energy allocation. Like don't overdo it in the gym, because if I do this great thing, which is working out, but if I overdo it, I won't have the mental energy to say write an article later. Like, so it's a skill. And so sometimes I fail, which, actually many times, but you have to have compassion for yourself,
Grace. Yeah.
forgive, and just keep moving forward, because that's what makes progress. If you stop right there and like, let's say, oh, that's it. Maybe
Don't quit.
this day's done because I messed
Yeah.
up in the morning. No, get up.
No, get up,
And,
get back at it.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, definitely. All right. And then lastly, I'm kind of going to throw you off with this one, but I enjoyed so much when I was on your podcast and we went down some awesome rabbit holes. Any rabbit holes you want to go down today?
Any rabbit holes I want to go down today? Well,
If not, that's okay. But if you have
yeah, I
something that
mean,
springs to mind,
well, the Matrix itself, right, is about rabbit holes. And, you know, I like to talk about, when it comes to freedom, like listen to your heart. What is true for you? Because we tend to have a life where we're not feeling like we're enough. We have these beliefs that we're carrying around that are not ours. We have so many things that we're holding on to. And what I see in society, like we're just not fulfilled in a
mm,
sense. And if we can kind of like start to wake up to who we are and wake up to our greatness, like you're not going to accept any of that negativity. Like if you are a high vibrational person, like you're working out, you're doing all these things, you want to add value to people, that negative energy doesn't want to have anything to do with you, essentially.
Yeah. So true. So
That's what I
true.
find for sure.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. So if somebody wants to work with you, Anthony, where can they find you?
If people want to work with me, I have a website, it's anthonyguastella.com, and I coach people. I have a podcast myself. So it's Anthony Guastella Wellness. As Sarah mentioned, she was on the show. It was such a good show. We talked about
a lot.
yeah, I really enjoyed that. And aside from that, I write articles on my website. So a lot of free ways of kind of getting the mission out there in a sense, because like I said, it's all about bringing tools of wellness and personal development to people to become the greatest versions of themselves every single day. And the more empowerment that we have, the more education that we listen into, and we just kind of like develop this self-mastery in a sense.
I love that.
And just moving forward every single day, because like,
become an expert in you. That's what I always
that's what it is. We don't know how like the life that we can live unless we actually decide to get better every single day. Like I would just say, like, I made a decision for real. I just made a decision. It doesn't matter what happens. And I'm just going to keep moving forward every single day, and just never give up on your life. Never give up on what matters to you. Never give up on your dreams, because you matter. You have to remember that, and never forget your value, because essentially greatness was within you, and you just get better every single day and be the model and change for what is possible.
I love that so much. Anthony, this has been great. I always love our conversations. This has been one for the books for sure. And I hope you enjoyed it as well. I hope I didn't throw you off too much.
Yeah, I'll speak with you there, Sarah. It was a pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for listening to Everything's Messy podcast. Whew, if you made it this far, give yourself a gold star or at least a nap. Honestly, if you showed up today and you were listening, you've already crushed it. I'm so grateful for you listening. If anything hit home, share it, tag me, write it on a sticky note. I don't care. Just don't keep all of this messy goodness to yourself. You can find me on Instagram at Everything's Messy Wellness, or over at my website, everythingsmessywellness.com, where I've got resources, coaching, and probably a new rant about blood sugar or something that's just nonsense. It's all waiting for you. Check out my YouTube channel. I've got all of my podcast episodes up there. And I'm on X at Everything's Mess. Or if you just want to send me an email, Sarah at everythingsmessywellness.com. Look, until next time, hydrate, take no crap, and as always, keep it messy.